Hello and welcome to my channel. This is probably the hardest video or the series of videos I'll do. I'll be telling my story of overcoming a lot. Abandonment's probably the most difficult thing that I went through, but it's certainly not the only thing that I went through. And I'm doing this so that if I can help one person know that they can survive this, then any of the kickback, the anyone making fun of this or making a mockery out of it, it's worth it if I can just help one person. Um, I was a 70s baby, born in July. I was the second child born to my parents. I have a sister, and I couldn't say her name, so I named her Dutta. So that's what I'll call her through the video series. She was 3 when I was born, and our mother, she had issues. She had been abandoned by her mother, and um, and she'd been adopted out and been mistreated. I don't make excuses for her, even though that happened, um, because I believe that we still choose our path. But she turned to drugs to numb the pain. Um, and my father, he was abusive to her and ended up being abusive to us. He was dealing with his issues of abandonment and mental and physical abuse um, throughout his life. Um, before I was a year old, I was put in the hospital with bronchial pneumonia. And they brought my mother to the hospital, and she actually beat my grandmother back to the town she was staying in. She wouldn't even stay with me. My grandmother, actually, my granny, got in the tent with me in the oxygen tent, um, and stayed in there with me. And I actually bonded with my granny. And so from that point on, I was hers. Um, Before I got out of the hospital or after I got out of the hospital, my mother moved out. She left me and my sister with our dad. My sister was 3, and like I said, I was not even a year old. She offered to take me because the simple fact was that I couldn't talk. Um, and so by me not being able to talk, she said, I'll take that one. Like we were kind of his and hers. My father didn't allow that to happen, and so she left. Um, and I did not meet my mother until I was 17, and I'll get into that later. But my father um, had us to stay with our granny and my grandmother. Um, and we were a handful. And so, and that's his mom and his mom's mom, so his grandmother. And so it was difficult for them to take care of us. So they came up with a plan that we would go to my grandfather's house, my dad's dad. We went up there, and because he lived in North Carolina and he had 4 kids, the youngest being only a year older than my sister. So the youngest was 4. Um, and they treated me like, of course, I was a little baby doll for them to dress up. And my sister had a more difficult time. And I guess I could say more on what happened to my sister there, but I don't feel like it's my place to say that. Um, and you'll hear on into my story. My sister has since passed away. She passed away at 45 from colon and pancreatic cancer. So she's not here to tell her story. So I don't feel like that, that I should tell her story. I'll tell what part she's in my story, um, or our story, but she is one of the main reasons why I wanted to get better. And every day I try to better myself. And I think by doing this, I am bettering myself because I'm talking about something I've never talked about really. Not like telling my story. Um, because I've always said, friends have said, you could write a book. And I'm like, they would put it in the fiction aisle. Seriously, they would put it in the fiction aisle. And so here and there, I've kind of told some of my story, but I'm going to full out tell my story on YouTube. And I hope whoever needs to hear this joins me in telling my story. And I honestly pray that it will touch somebody. That's my goal. But another goal is I think this will be healing for me. And so, um, to finish up the first part that I'm going to talk about, we moved to North Carolina and we lived there for 3 years. Like I said, I don't have any memory of North Carolina, so I can't really talk about it. I've been told stories, like my step grandmother, she would, she was going up the stairs one day, and there was 6 kids in the house, so you imagine. And she was picking up clothes on the stairs, and she said I was walking behind her with a little clothes basket of my own, saying "dit dit," meaning shit shit. Um, but they said I couldn't get in trouble because yeah, I was just too adorable. So they treat like I said, they treated me like a little doll baby. I did have issues when I lived there. They had to buy me a monkey because when I would go to take a nap, my step grandmother would lay down with me, and they said I wrapped my arms around her so tight because I was terrified she would leave me while I was taking a nap. So They bought me this little monkey, and I actually have pictures of myself with the monkey. Excuse my voice, I'm getting over a cold. Um, but I actually have pictures of me with the monkey that helped me to sleep without her having to sleep with me every one of my naps. So, like I said, we were there for 3 years. Maybe, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 3 years because my sister started kindergarten there. And then our dad got remarried and decided that he would come and get us. And so they loaded up and came and got us. So I was told that the lady that was married to my dad, my stepmother, was my real mother. And I believed that until I was probably 7. And so our mother was not spoke about. The pictures were supposed to be destroyed. I barely have any. I don't even think I have any baby pictures of me, like baby infant pictures. Um, I've never seen what I look like as a baby. But I think I'm gonna end today right here. But I am gonna say that I believe that we all have a path. And I believe that the path we have is chosen by God, but I believe we have choices. Um, Now, certainly at this age, we don't have choices at 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, whatever. We don't really have choices. So the path we're taking down is a path we can't control. I do believe that's a lot of the reason why I'm such a control freak in my life now is because my childhood was so out of control. But I want you to go down this path with me. Um, and maybe somebody that's gone through some of the stuff I've gone through, they'll be able to, this will help you. This will help you to walk down that path that, and know that it gets better, that it does get better. We can survive this. Because I do believe I'm a survivor. And know that you have the, I love this saying that is popping up in the video. You have the power to protect your peace. Know that. Because the hardest lesson I ever learned, and jumping ahead, I know I'm jumping ahead, but I feel like I should say this, is learn your boundaries. I still see a therapist every single week. I don't miss I don't miss my therapy sessions. Um, she's lovely and I trust her with my life. I trust her more than I've ever trusted anybody. Seriously. Because there's no judgment. But know that we can control our own peace. Know that you can say goodbye to people and you you control who you allow in your life. I do believe the saying that you control at a certain age now, not during your childhood, but you give people at adult when you're an adult, you give people the power of taking your joy. Don't allow them to take your joy. Because there's one thing I can tell you from the time I was a very young child, I knew God was real and I knew that He was protecting me. I used to be angry at him as I got older for what I went through, but now it's not so much anger. I just know that there's a reason, or this is what I choose to believe, that there's a reason for everything I've gone through. Everything we face in our life, there is a reason. We might not know it now or tomorrow. We might never figure it out, but there's always a reason. Um, But please go on this trip with me. You'll see that I've crossed big mountains. That's why I like this picture. Great mountains, but I've crossed some huge mountains, obstacles, even after I got in adulthood. Um, and I think it just makes me feel good talking about it. I don't know why I'm nervous, but not as nervous as I am to like do a live. Um, and we can do a live you know, if I've got subscribers saying, "Hey, let's do a live, let's get together and, talk about stuff," we'll do a live. And I'll probably start getting on camera too. I've just been sick, so just bear with me. Um, but yeah, come down this